All right, here we go. I'm Dr. CD, and this is the 27th episode of my advanced English lesson. It's called Pandemonium here, and of course, those are pandas. The word pandemonium is spelled with an E, so that you could call this a pun. That's pandemonium, which means something like chaotic. I believe it's a physical location in some Greek mythology. That's where it got its name from. My story here today comes from uh, a story I read. Now, I think it was presented differently than it actually was. I'm not sure if the zoo was actually trying to trick people into thinking there were pandas, but they did shave these dogs and dye them to make them look like pandas. But they've actually done that a lot. I've seen pet cafes and whatnot. So, anyway, there was some controversy, and that's one of our vocabulary words. So, let me go ahead and read this passage. The vocabulary words for today are highlighted in red, although there are other words you might not know. We'll just skip over them quickly. A zoo in China sparked controversy by dressing Chow Chow dogs to mimic pandas, absent real ones. At the Taizhou Zoo in Jiangsu province, staff fashioned the dog's fur by trimming and dyeing it black and white, then displayed the panda dogs to visitors daily, causing a mix of amusement and disapproval. While many expressed delight at the novelty, others criticized the zoo for ethical concerns. Zoo officials defended the practice, arguing that using natural dye on animals with long fur is harmless, and likened it to humans dyeing their hair. The initiative drew varied reactions, highlighting differing perspectives on animal treatment and the use of animals for entertainment. So I like to start off with some geography questions. And where is Jiangsu province? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? And the correct answer is 2. Reading comprehension there. Answer in your own words based on what we just read. Why did the zoo decide to dress dogs as pandas? I mean, this is really, I'm actually trying to elicit some response that wasn't actually specifically mentioned. I imagine it's to attract the customers or the visitors. And if my students knew about this story, then they could give me some other insight. Again, were they actually trying to trick the visitors? Did they actually advertise that real pandas were there? That's possible. That's what some people said, but there's mixed things. Some said no, that's just part of they advertised panda dogs and showed a picture of panda dogs. The picture really looked like a real panda, the one they used. So there may have been some trickery, or it may have been just that's part of what they were trying to do. I like to hear your response. What methods did the zoo use to make the dogs look like pandas? Trimming and dyeing. Those are two verbs that you may or may not be familiar with. Trimming just being cutting, but shaping and cutting, and dyeing, of course, is coloring. How did the visitors react to the panda dogs? Again, there were mixed. Some enjoyed it. They thought it was fun. Some were outraged. They weren't outraged because they were tricked, though, so much. It was more because of the animal rights, although there may have been some people who felt tricked. I remember feeling tricked. I remember in the Sacramento Zoo, they advertised having pandas. You get there and they're the red pandas, which are adorable animals, but they're more likened to a raccoon than a panda. What was the zoo's defense regarding the ethical concerns raised? Again, they're saying people dye their hair, it's not actually harming the dogs. So here's our word: mimic, fashion as a verb, novelty, controversy, defend, and public disagreement is controversy. To copy is to mimic. Something new is novel or novelty. To protect is defend. To make or shape is to fashion. Again, the noun, the verb to fashion. And then go ahead and use those words correctly in these sentences, which are also based on the story. The zoo fashioned the dogs to look like pandas using dye and careful grooming. Many visitors enjoyed the novelty of seeing dogs that look like pandas, although it sparked some controversy. Zoo officials defended their actions by comparing animals dying to humans dyeing their hair. To mimic pandas, dogs were dressed up and displayed to the public. So the debate here, again, I've been really wanting to focus on expressing yourself, expressing your opinions, and more so defending those when pressed. So you can take either side, and I'm going to take the opposite side and press you to really make sure that you're able to make a claim and have solid grounds for supporting it. The general question is it ethical for zoos to use animals to attract visitors in unusual ways? And then I have some specifics. This wasn't a zoo, but this was Tiger Kingdom. I did visit the Tiger Kingdom about 10 years ago. The situation, zoos offering hands-on encounters with exotic animals like playing with tigers. Do these close interactions help educate and inspire conservation awareness? Or do they exploit animals and potentially stress them? I think there's more probably argument for that it's exploiting the animals and stressing them, but I like to see people take either side and defend it about earning revenue or, I mean, it seems like these animals were, a lot of students are like, well, it's dangerous for the people, which is possible, but it does seem like they use sedatives to make these animals not violent, or they are close by with a dart gun. I believe there may have been an incident. They feed the animals beforehand. They might, you know, they probably do things that are unnatural to prevent them from attacking people, and they may sedate them using drugs. All of these things could raise some ethical concerns, but you could also argue if you're able to reproduce them, that the sole ability to um, make sure that we don't lose them, that they're not endangered, and if we can domesticate them, hey, we've domesticated, their lovely little friends, just like this, my little guppy over here, right? So if we can domesticate animals, I think there's an argument for saying that that could actually be in their best interest to have animals live alongside us. It's better than eating them, probably. So here we go. The next one is elephant riding. Again, I have rode an elephant. I had a video here though showing how the elephant, as strong as elephants are, even that they use elephants for work, is better. They're treated much better. The ones that are pulling logs, they have a closer relationship. They're like the local village elephant, but their backs really aren't. They have the way they have these bones that protrude. They're definitely not. Uh, their bodies aren't built for carrying people. So we do have the elephant sanctuaries. I showed a lot of videos of those. You could say there's still ethical concerns about that, but I personally did feel the elephants were treated really well, and they were the elephants that they rescued from some of these uh, elephant riding. So they've never really been fully wild. So rather taking in wild animals, putting them into the sanctuary, there could be more ethical concerns than actually saving these animals from elephant riding and putting them in sanctuaries and kind of helping bringing them back. So I'll read it real quick. Training animals to perform tricks and participate in shows like elephant rides or killer whale performances. The debate is, are animal performances legitimate educational tools that showcase natural behaviors, or are they stressful and demeaning to the animals involved? Again, this question wasn't focused specifically on the elephant sanctuary. I think an elephant sanctuary, that was my argument for ways to interact with animals that are, again, there's obviously the argument that it's not natural and we can't do it. That's the other thing we lead to here is the breeding hybrid animals such as ligers, lion tiger hybrids that do not occur naturally in the wild. Again, the purpose to draw crowds. Is breeding hybrids for the sake of visitors' curiosity ethically acceptable, or does it promote genetic issues and serves no conservation purpose. We can look into it a little more. As far as I know, they're infertile. They're not going to be able to have babies, and I don't think they're as healthy. I think there are some health problems. They are cool. They do generate income. I mean, it's still a life, and they're maybe given a good life. Does it harm anything? Again, the biggest thing is just that it's unnatural. We don't see lions and tigers meeting in the wild, but if they're able to procreate, then they have to be close enough related, closely enough related. And there are other examples that we do, like horses and donkeys. We get a mule. They're a little stronger, and they serve a purpose. Again, I think it's fair to say people exploit animals, so we're going to exploit animals anyway. If we can exploit them in a way that they're able to live side by side with us and they're helping us and we're raising them and they get more domesticated, there's an argument for that too. So um, the situation here are the night safaris. These are regular animals that are nocturnal animals. You go and see them at night, but then you're kind of ruining their experience, shining the bright lights on them. Again, this isn't in their wild habitat. This is a makeshift wild safari. So holding nighttime events with bright lights and music in zoo settings to attract a different demographic of visitors. Do nighttime events offer a unique way to see nocturnal animals' behavior? Yes. Or do they disrupt the natural day-night cycles of animals? Also, yes. So now we had some fun. We did talk about some dog breeds before. Which one is the Chow Chow dog? It's funny, a lot of them said this one on the far left. It's actually this one. This is the Chow Chow dog. And in China, they refer to this as a lion dog, but the word Shih Tzu actually comes from the word lion. So in English, we're using the Chinese word. Again, this is before pinyin. This is like an ancient, but the old phonetic English phoneticalization of the word Shih Tzu, which means lion. So there was maybe a mix up. Maybe these dogs are actually closely enough related that there was some mix up at some point. But anyway, that's funny. We call that one. We use the Chinese word for lion, Shih Tzu, and that one is the one they call the lion dog. Very similar. This one, Labrador, and this one is the Schnauzer. From last week, a little review. We had on the far left, the Bulldog. Next one, Chihuahua. This one is the German Shepherd. And the last one is the Poodle. And then I have some fun activity here. Words that rhyme with dog. A slow run, jog. An animal that lives in a pond, frog. A fat pig, or the act of taking everything, hog. If you look at hog, if you look at pig and hog, usually the pictures for hog are going to be a little warthog or a boar, the furry wild pigs. The part of a trunk of a tree that has been cut, log. And a thick cloud of tiny water droplets, especially in the morning, basically a cloud that's low to the ground, is fog. Those words all rhyme with dog. This is a review from before. We're talking about elephants, we're talking about dogs, and we're talking about logs. So let's go ahead and talk more about trees, the different parts of the trees and their name. That first one is called the trunk, the large, thick part. The next part, these ones that branch out, are the branch. The skin of the tree is the bark. And a tree that has been cut is a stump. Now, all four of those words have other meanings in English. The trunk is also the name for the elephant's long nose. Branch is also the smaller section of a big company. Think of banks. So you have your big banks, and then you have your smaller branches. And bark is the sound a dog makes. We might say woof woof, but if you refer to the sound a dog makes, we say a bark, a dog's bark. And the word stump, if you add ed to the end of it, it's the feeling of being stumped, is to not know the answer to a question. A little bit from last week, we did talk about this. What do we say for a group of dogs or wolves? These are all words we use to group animals. Which one is correct for dogs or wolves. And the correct answer is a pack of dogs or a pack of wolves, right? We do have flock, school, and swarm. Flocks are for birds, swarms are for bees, and a school is for fish. We have some other ones here: a pride of lions, a troop of monkeys, and a herd of elephants. All right, here's some more geography, culture, and history. What is the capital of Jiangsu province? The correct answer is Nanjing. And which river runs through Jiangsu, connecting it to Shanghai? Correct answer is the Yangtze River. And then here's a fun riddle for you, or a joke. If you drop a red sock into the yellow river, what happens? It gets wet, right? It doesn't turn orange, but some people will say that. Nanjing was a capital during which dynasty? It was the capital during the Ming Dynasty, although it did. It's the first 70 years of the Ming Dynasty. Nanjing was the capital, and then it moved over to Beijing. This is not the correct picture for this, but which of these is a popular dish for Jiangsu cuisine? Correct answer is salted duck. Peking being Beijing, obviously from Beijing. Hot and dry noodles is Wuhan. Sweet and sour pork, I don't know, maybe Hong Kong or Guangdong, I'm not sure. Um, Jiangsu province is adjacent to which of these major cities? Correct answer is Shanghai, right? If you look at the map, it's funny. I had a student from Shanghai and he didn't even know that. I was like, "What? You don't even know your neighbors?" Right? Shanghai is a smaller area, autonomous region, it's kind of its own province, and this one is Jiangsu province. And which UNESCO World Heritage Site is in Jiangsu province? The correct answer is the classical gardens of Suzhou. Suzhou, of course, is a major city in Jiangsu province. And then I ask, we have done this before. What about UNESCO? What does UNESCO stand for? UNESCO stands for, the UN stands for United Nations. So we know that much. And then the E is for, it covers it. The E is for education, educational. Actually, these are all adjectives. So the last O is organization. So educational, scientific, and cultural organization. There we go. And I'm going to leave us with a final a new paragraph using those same vocabulary words to really drill in hard, learning those vocabulary words specifically. At the town meeting, residents gathered to discuss a new proposal from the local government. The council aimed to fashion a community garden in the Central Park, hoping it would mimic the success of similar project in neighboring towns. While many embraced the novelty of having a communal space for gardening, there was some controversy about the use of money. Supporters defended the plan as a good long-term choice for the community's future, arguing that such green spaces were important for making the town nicer and getting people involved. And I have some reading comprehension questions based on that. What did the council want to create in the Central Park? Community garden, right? A community garden. Why did some residents embrace the idea of a community garden? What specifically they thought it was a good use of the space, was it? Actually, I forget about that. They would, and they also hoped that it would uh, spark other neighborhoods, perhaps, to do the same. So, what was the controversy about? It was the use of the money, and how did supporters defend the community's garden proposal, saying that it was good long-term investment, basically that it would pay off. I agree with it. I think that's great. I think community gardens would be great. I rather see them kind of a grassroots type community gardens, not regulations or anything. Just everybody kind of being like, "Hey, I'm gonna have a garden," or even if it's not a community garden, just have a garden in your own land, and then share it with locals. That's what I'm hoping to have. I've got a lot of fruits here, and I'm looking forward to uh, opening it up for uh, some guests at some time. So here we go. That's it. I'll see you next week. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye bye.